Hello everyone and welcome to our final Pauper deck guide. And now this deck I think is the best control deck in the format, and it's Dimir control. So how does Dimir control function now? And as any control deck, you're trying to trade with your opponent and then just run out with card advantage and win the game from there. Now one thing this control deck has over other control decks is that it has this card, which is technically a board wipe and Pauper, and these are very lacking in this kind of format. So the advantage of this deck over blue-white control that I've showed you in a previous video is this card specifically. So how does this deck run? Let me show you through a bit of the cards and why I picked them, so you can know how to play around and what to play around. So Blink of an Eye and for Liberation, I do not want to butcher her name, so I'm not going to pronounce that, gives us a way to deal with Boggles, because Boggles plays creatures that cannot be targeted because they have hexproof. So this either makes our opponent sacrifice a creature, or we can just sometimes sacrifice the enchantments that's making the creature big. So that does come in relevant, and this card is super good. It made this deck way better after Theros Beyond that game. So the other card is Blink of an Eye, because we can always blink the enchantment, let's say the Ancestral Mask, the one that's pumping their creatures huge, to make them huge. We can just blink that and maybe try to find an answer, maybe negate it next turn. That's always an option. So these are why I included these cards. Moment of Craving is an insane control card, because you get to deal, not only do you get to deal with your opponent's threat, you also get to gain 2 life, maybe time walk them if you play this on turn 2. Negate is just a counter spell. Essence Scatter is also a way for us to deal with the hexproof creatures. Mindstone either cycles itself sometimes, or it can help us ramp into our huge threats easier. Vapors, I mentioned, it's board wipe. Murder is just targeted spot removal. It's always good in control decks. I've mentioned this before. Notion Rain is one of our draw effects, and I did not want to include too many because yes, this card is amazing, but with aggro being such a huge part of the meta, I do not want you to lose too many life due to your own cards, so I did not include way too many. Devious Cover Up ensures that we do not mill out, because as control decks you sometimes do mill out, and this prevents that. Bake into Pie is a spot removal card, but having the food token just to gain 3 life and kind of come back into the game can sometimes be super relevant, because sometimes aggro decks just need 1 or 2 more life to kind of kill you, and this gives them a whole turn to rethink. So maybe let's say you're at 2 life, your opponent draws a shock, he shocks you, you gain 3 life in response. Now he has to wait a whole other turn to try to kill you, and with how much card advantage you generate as a control deck, 1 turn can be the difference between losing and winning. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is one of our win conditions because it deals incremental amount of damage, and sometimes you just go for the ability to sacrifice it and then deal 4, gain 4. It comes in most of our games, and it's usually how we win our games, but you can also win it with Salvager of Secrets and Cold Water Snapper. Salvager can sometimes get us back our Notion Rain or their counter spell. It gives you whatever you need, but what I want you to do as a control player is to kind of look up other Pauper deck guides, because you want to know what to play around as a control player and what to return. So let's say I'm playing against Boggles. They have a lot of hexproof creatures, so I do not want to maybe return Bake into a Pie because it does not target a lot of things in their deck. Maybe I return an Essence Scatter, that way I can counter it. So this kind of thinking really involves knowing the meta and knowing what to play around and when to play around it. Alright, so I'm going to leave a link with all of the deck lists that I've previously mentioned, and make sure to watch my other Pauper deck guides just to know what to play around as a control deck. I haven't been telling this to other aggro decks because you can sometimes play aggro without knowing what the others are doing, but to play control you need to know what your opponent is doing. Alright, but don't be afraid, control is super rewarding as a deck guide. As a deck archetype. Cold Water Snapper is our last finisher, and I think black is the only color that can deal with this card in Pauper, because as I mentioned before, we have this card that just makes our opponent sacrifice this, so if you're playing the mirror, make sure to play around it and not run out this alone. Alright? Syncopate is just a counter spell that's very flexible because it can always counter something when it's on curve. Now, I do not include way too many because drawing this late game does not always feel good, because let's say you draw this on turn 6. Alright, and then your opponent already has a threat in play, you can't really do anything, and if he plays something not on curve, Syncopate cannot really always punish him. Alright, so this is good in the early game, and as the game progresses it kind of gets lower in value, but it's a good card overall. Mana base is pretty simple: islands, swamps, Lonely Sandbar and Barrymore are just cycle lands. I do not include way too many because we do not want too many lands to enter top, because we're already running Dimir Guildgate and Dismal Backwater. Now why are we running that many dual lands? Because this deck is mana hungry. It needs a lot of symbols, as you can observe. Alright, this gains us life, that's why I picked this over this. Bajuga Bog is just a way for us to stop our opponent's graveyard. So maybe if we're playing the mirror, you do not want their Salvager of Secrets to get them any value. That's gonna be pretty much it for the deck guide. If you enjoyed this content, please do subscribe, leave a like, and comment what do you want me to see what do you want me to play tomorrow in the Historic Pauper event. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.